Welcome, bet riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you're watching the Laid Back Bike Report. What's up, guys? So great to have you with us today. Let me tell you what we got in store today. Well, it's basically Larry Oslund and all Larry Oslund. He is quite a gentleman, good pal of ours, and he's involved with so many things. We're going to go through one by one. First of all, we're going to talk about his visit to Romania, where he toured the Velomobile World factory and actually had a Velomobile made for him. This led him to become a Velomobile World dealer at his shop in Hilton Head, and he will be talking all about that dealership. He sells other things there, notably Cruzbike. We saw him at CycleCon last year selling Cruzbikes there. He's a Cruzbikes dealer. Larry has been involved in ultra racing for a very long time, quite successfully. And he's going to talk about his recent exploits there, especially last year. And that's not enough for Larry, so he has decided to resurrect a couple of ultra races around the country that have fallen on hard times, and some of them had actually stopped being promoted. So he's kind of picked those up. We're going to tell you about what he's got in mind there. Larry, with the Cruzbikes, has decided to also create a museum that he calls the Cruzeum. And we're going to show you the Cruzeum and what he has there. And we're really lucky, as we were talking to Larry a couple of weeks ago, that Jim and Maria Parker, the founders of Cruzbike, happened to be there visiting. And so we had a chat with them as well. They bring us up to date on what the latest is with Cruzbike. So lots of stuff to talk about today, and we're excited to share it with you. Now, helping me share it with you are these guys coming up right now. There we go. So down in Raymond, Mississippi, it is Trey Burgoyne. Trey, how you doing?
I'm just Danny. Good to see you, folks.
And it's good to have you with us. Trey handling the media as usual and directing today's show in good hands. It's Larry Seidman in Colorado Springs. There are those hands. And we got to hand it to you, Larry. You do a great job. So that was horrible. All right. Thank you very much. And in Alfred Station, New York, our pal, who we never, ever cease to be thankful for showing up, the bicycle man himself, Peter Stahl. Peter, hi.
Boy, he's so polite when we're live, you know?
I tell you what, that was an introduction.
I hope none of you,
Good to be here.
I hope none of you had a recording going when I was talking to Peter before the show started. All right, Peter, really, it's great to have you. All right, guys. So let me tell you, first of all, how you can participate in today's show. If you'd like to be a part of it, we have live chat running both on Facebook and on YouTube. And hop on there, ask your questions, make comments, talk with your fellow bent riders there, and let us know where you are watching from. That's always fun to pop up on the screen. And if you'd like to support the Laid Back Bike Report, like us on Facebook. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can click that little white eye that'll pop up there, take you to the Laid Back Bike Report website. And lots of stuff there, past shows, future shows. You can buy a hat. You can become a Patreon sponsor of the Laid Back Bike Report, like all these wonderful people have. You could do so for as little as $1 a month. So we always appreciate that. And also appreciated is our yearly sponsors, corporate sponsors. We really love having these folks. We couldn't do the show without them. Who are they? Let's start out with TerraCycle. Makers of exquisite recumbent parts and accessories for your bent, don't just trike, adventure trike. TerraCycle's racks and bags are like having a personal Sherpa but without the questionable ethics. And Trailside Trikes, a fine recumbent trike shop on the Withlacoochee Trail in Florida. And TerraTrike Green Speed, the best in leisure performance, adventure touring, electric, and portability. Wherever your adventure leads, TerraTrike will take you there. And Green Speed, where Ian Sims Designs bring performance through science and engineering. And Laid Back Cycles, the top USA dealer for TerraTrike and the premier source for Catrike, Ice, and Green Speed. We give you the freedom to ride. And Avenue Trikes, with the gearing you need and the comfort you want, it's time to enjoy riding again. They're in stock, ready to ship in only $19.95. Dealer inquiries are welcome. And AZUB. If you've decided to get that new recumbent bike or trike, the time is now. You don't have to wait weeks for a quality bike that's customized to your needs. AZUB has a selection of its best-selling models and configurations in stock. Head over to azub.eu and simply choose the model you want, add your preferred accessories, and your bike or trike will be at your dealer in just a few days. And Recumbent PDX. With 150 trike inventory, Recumbent PDX is the West Coast's only Catrike megastore. We have over 20 trikes on our showroom floor just waiting for you to test ride through our beautiful Portland neighborhood. Call or email to schedule your test ride today. And Connecticut Yankee Peddler. We feature multiple brands of trikes, including electric assist models. Test rides in Southern Iowa hospitality are always available at our megastore in Chariton. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. Larry Oslund is actually live with us in the green room right now. We're going to play some of this interview first, and we'll be back to answer your questions and hear your comments in a few more minutes from now. So let's see our own Larry Seidman. Let's see the video. All right, guys, we are here with Larry Oslund to talk about a couple of interesting subjects. He is involved in so many things. What we're going to focus on first here is his new foray into velomobiles and where it has taken him. So, Larry, it's good to have you on.
Great to be had, Gary.
All right, so let's start out with this new velomobile, this whole new velomobile idea of yours. You've been known for many years as an ultra racer and a cruise bike guy for sure. What's with the velomobiles? How did you get into this?
Well, it really happened when I went to the CycleCon this year up in Xenia, Ohio. I took all the cruise bikes with me, and we had a great show there. Jan, who's the owner of Velomobile World, he showed up there as well and brought, I think it was 4 velomobiles. So we kind of just struck up a conversation, and I showed him my Cruzbike Museum, and he almost immediately just said, wow, would you like to, have a velomobile there as well? And so that conversation just continued on while we were there at the convention, and he basically just said at the end that he'd be happy for me to be a dealer for them if I was willing. So that's kind of how it got started.
And apparently you became willing, at least at some point. So you decided, you're going to get involved with this. And knowing you went in both feet, so to speak. So
Right.
What was the next step? We know that, and we're going to show this amazing trip you took to Eastern Europe, to Romania, to see the factory. How did that evolve?
Well, part of being a dealer is you have to buy a velomobile first to have as a demo. And so I went through the whole process of, kind of ordering it. And I pretty much just ordered one with every available option, that they sold, so I could have it to show a prospective person. And then I got this idea that it would really make more sense if I went there and I could see the factory. I could see how, the velomobiles were assembled, since I'm going to be expected to work on them and do maintenance on them. And so the idea really was I was going to spend all this money to go there, and I was hopefully just going to bring the velo back with me. And I kind of thought, well, I can just kill two birds with one stone. The trip itself would cost about as much as just bringing the velomobile here. So I just organized that with Jan, and on December 13th, my birthday, I flew to Romania for 10 days.
Wow, that's a great birthday trip. And clearly you had a good time and learned a lot. And I think if we can, Larry, let's share with our audience the video that you shot that trip, and you can tell us about what you saw at the Velomobile World factory.
Great.
All right, Larry, so here we go. Here you are coming in. Tell us about the factory when you first saw it.
Yeah, well, the factory is just in the middle of a very small little village in central Romania, and it's just an amazing place. It's a high-tech factory, and you're not going to see this here, but this is about half of the factory size. He's got solar panels that power the thing, and he's got just almost everything inside is really state-of-the-art. And when you're driving around the rest of the village, you see horse-drawn, carts pulling stuff, and it's almost it's just a paradox in a way to have something here just in the middle of just a little Romanian village. So it was amazing.
All right, let's take a look inside.
All right, here's kind of the assembly area floor. And what you're seeing here is their weekly meeting. Everybody joins together and kind of gives their input and feedback and suggestions for what to do. You're looking at actually my velo right here as we pass. There's assembly stations, like 5 or 6 of them, that there's basically a team of assemblers, and they all kind of have one project they're working on, and they spend as much time as they need to assemble each of the velomobiles. I was assigned to work with Victor, who was assembling mine. Then you can see here, this is kind of where they put them up there on the rack when they're all done. And it's just it's amazing kind of assembly procedure. They do make everything by hand. You can see the shop here. They have metal fabrication. Just about everything they do is by hand. Again, I was just so amazed to be there to see all the different things that was going on. There's the wiring area. They make all their wiring harnesses by hand. There's the wheel builder guy, he spoke really good English, so we got to be good friends. He just built wheels all day long. Yeah, it was just amazing process to see it happening. We pan over here. Oh, there's just more wheels here. I think that is a different guy, but yeah, you can see how many they're building. All right, this is the fiber preparation room, and this is really high tech too. These tables you see actually are sucking the air down to hold the carbon fiber on the table so the people can cut them out to the patterns. And they just have rolls and rolls of all different weaves of the carbon fiber, and they've got patterns. You can see they're rolled up for every possible velomobile that they make. And so they just cut out bunches of these and store them, so when the layers want to build something, they don't really have to order something. They just go to another shelf and pull off what they need to lay the carbon fiber in. This is kind of their prototype area. They bring things in here to special work on them. And now we're out here on the shop floor. There's the ladies that are all doing all the carbon fiber layup. So they get put there on that shelf, and they just take them back to their workstation. And then they, just are laying carbon fiber in those molds all day long. And as you look around the building, here's the paint room here. And over to the left is another paint room. The painting they do here is just incredible. It's just as good as on your car. They spend so much time doing painting. I was just truly amazed. You can see all the molds for all the different versions just stacked up everywhere. And they build probably 8 or 9 or 10 versions of the velomobiles. Here's a lady giving a final buffing job to that lime green velomobile. She was a great worker, and truthfully, they all were great workers. All right, well, here's my Velomobile order, and they have this wall here that they show the progress and what stations all the Velomobiles are in, and that's super organization. It's a great idea, so everybody knows what they're working on. And so here's my Velomobile, and Victor was the primary guy that was helping me build this thing. The attention to detail is the most amazing thing. You see right here, he's scribing next to this one piece. They scribe all around it because what they do is then they go sand it by hand, and then they epoxy that rail into the base frame of the Velo, and that's just basically one piece that he's doing. And they do just many feet of this. Here's working on the rear cassette that they install for the gears. And here's some more internal work. He's drilling the holes for the chain tubes. Again, everything is done by hand. It is an incredible operation, and these people are just amazingly skilled. I think here he's just applying some epoxy kind of to the seams, and he rubs it by hand. All right, here's the complete rail section where you can adjust the seat, and he's got a epoxy machine that he's just going to go along the whole entire edge, and then this thing's going to be epoxied down into the base of the Velo. This allows the seat to be fully adjustable, and it's a great idea and there he is, put it in there. It's a great design option for something where the thing can be just fully adjustable. That thing on the back is where the back of the seat sits, and he positions it exactly where it needs to be, matching up the scribing that he did, and then puts all these sticks in there to put pressure on it, so the epoxy will be evenly distributed along the whole piece that he's putting in. So this is an interesting thing. These are the chain tubes, and it's nice to kind of flare the end out. Then they just use a heat gun and a special little aluminum tool, and presto, it's a nice little elongated tube. And here's just them sanding away. I mean, they do a lot of hand sanding, and as you can see, they've got the vacuum cleaner. They vacuum the things up. They take such great care in everything they do. I mean, you didn't see this, but they cover virtually almost the whole entire outside edges with nice sticky plastic stuff to keep any scratches from happening. So here's working on putting the cassette piece into the area that it's mounted. This is probably the hardest part of the assembly, actually, and it does take a long time. This is the alignment process they go through to make sure that the rear wheel and the front wheels are all aligned and they'll track together. So they've got all these pieces that are just hung up on the wall to use. This isn't mine, but this is just another example of the level of detail that they do. I mean, they're these hoods that they sell. They cut and mount all these plastic pieces, into the already finished carbon fiber shell, and they probably spend a quarter of their time building those things. Here we're testing the rear cassette. They got the chain on it. He's just running through all the gears. It's sitting kind of on a roller. So the guy's actually in there pedaling away, just making sure all the shifting is happening. And we're taking it away here. There's just a little bit of rubbing. So he's just marking out what to kind of grind away. And here's the steering arms that they use. He's pulling off all the plastic here. This is just about when it was almost done, and pulling off all the anti-scratch plastic. And you can see those stands are on, actually, they're little hydraulic stands, which are really nice. Every place has one for the worker to use. And here this is my lid. He's working on some final adjustments there, try to get the NACA duct working. And then this is just an example of just more detail. They're soldering all the wiring together, making the cone mirrors. It's just like you buy a pair of these for like $40, and you would not believe how much time they spend, with these cones. I got to paint the cones, the color of velo. They epoxy the mirror into the edge of the cone. And well, here's another example of them finishing the Nakaduct, epoxying the little rod that you can lift from the inside so you can adjust it as you go when you're riding. And again, you can just see the amount of care that this guy is taking just working on this one little piece. It's like they're got it on the rollers again. They're testing the shifting kind of at a higher speed. Applying the decals. Just, again, look, they just take so much time and effort with everything they have. And you're only seeing really a small part of all they've really done. I mean, they cut the holes for the headlights. They cut the holes for the turn signals and all the lights in the back. Here's where they test how the velo actually tracks. They go through this process many times, and then they adjust it here if it's tracking even just a millimeter to the left or the right while it's running on the floor. They come and kind of kind of move, the nuts and bolts a little bit to the left, to the right to make it track just perfectly down the road. More testing again. Here's some final just drummeling away little bits of the edge to make sure that there's no rubbing when you're turning, and then the final sanding on the edge to make sure there's no sharp edges. You can see the kind of detail that is needed just for these wheel wells. So when the wheels turn, the edge of the wheel doesn't actually rub on the carbon fiber and cause a flap prematurely. So here's the test ride. I wish this was me in it, but I guess the guy that made it, he really wanted to test it first to make sure it was really working good. So that's the velo that I went there and helped build, and it was just a wonderful experience.
All right, Larry, that was a great view into what Velomobile World does to create their amazing velomobiles for folks. Now, I'm interested as a basic newbie to velomobiles, but a long-time recumbent rider. I'm interested in your experience since you got home and started riding this Bülk a bit. Tell me about your experience with that and what's interesting about it, and maybe a comparison to your long years of riding, say, cruise bikes.
Okay. Well, I went to I had to get the velo. I had to drive to Atlanta. I picked it up just before Christmas, and I was able to ride it around a little bit. I mean, it's a great riding machine. It's obviously very aerodynamic and fast. My most interesting story is I was out riding it, I don't know, maybe about a week and a half ago. And I was really wanting to do kind of some testing, between riding my Vendetta and riding the velo just to see the power comparison, because I'm just a crazy tester kind of guy. So I'm riding it kind of on a course through my subdivision, and the security people end up pulling me over. And I mean, you would have thought, well, I had robbed a bank. I mean, they pulled one truck over and blocked me in one area, and then another security officer came and blocked the other road, and it backed up traffic for 20 minutes. And, they wrote me up a citation, said I was driving an unauthorized vehicle. In the end, I mean, they let me go home, but they told me I couldn't ride it until I got approved by the general manager of my subdivision. And consequently, he came over and looked at it, and I proved to him, I said, look, it's just a bike. There's no motor in it other than me. And the crazy thing is he won't let me ride it here right now. He thinks it's too dangerous. He says that somebody's going to just crash into me because they're not going to see me. And so it was just the most interesting conversation, because I pulled out all my other bikes. I pulled out the V20C. I pulled out the Magic. I pulled out my wife's trike that's actually wider and lower than this. And I said, you let me ride all these bikes around here and you don't care anything. But now I have this big, bright blue and orange velomobile with lights and everything. And you're telling me that it's more dangerous.
So this puts you in a precarious position, Larry, I would imagine, because I expect you could probably put your foot down and make some sort of stand, but then you don't want to get the local gendarmes all pissed off at you either So that puts you in a delicate place. Yeah.
It really does. I was trying to kind of, talk to them and reassure them that, this was really the safest vehicle on the road. I mean, I told them, the speed limits are 30. I can ride down the road 30 miles an hour easily. It's not like I'm backing up traffic. Like if I took my wife's trike, that I can only ride 12 miles an hour down the road. And so I'm still basically waiting for the security people to have their little meeting. And I kind of advised them that, since you really don't have any real regulations, why don't you just make a regulation that, everything needs to have a light on the back of it. Doesn't matter if it's a velomobile or a trike or a cruise bike. And if it's lower than 48 inches, require a flag, and then just make that a broad thing that you apply to every, bicycle type thing. So the jury's still out on what's happening here. I posted the thing to the Facebook, and all the velomobile riders are saying, well, welcome to the group,
We've had on the show many times, velomobile riders that have, almost all of them have been stopped very many times by the police wherever they're riding. So it's a big mystery. It's just this box that's moving that they know doesn't belong there. And but most of the other guys, they go on to the next stop, but they're let go and it's not a problem. But it's right where you live, so that's an interesting conundrum, and I hope you get that worked out. All right. So back to that's an interesting story about it. But when you are able to ride it, hopefully you have been enough to get a sense for how it compares to your other riding experiences.
Right.
Can you talk a little more about that?
Sure. It's very different than riding a two-wheel recumbent for sure. I mean, you're totally enclosed. If you got the hood on over the top, it's a little bit noisy inside compared to because the carbon fiber, and so you kind of hear a little bit of the road noise. But it's got suspension on it, and again, it's very, very fast. It's so fun to kind of be able to cruise down the road at 30 miles an hour and not really have much effort. And there's a little bit of muscle difference because you're kind of more seated upright than when you're like on a cruise bike and you're laying back at a 20-degree angle. So, but those general things, there are differences. Like all bikes have differences, but I enjoy both of them. I probably enjoy riding the cruise bike more than the velo, but it might just be I haven't had time to ride the velo as much. But I do love to just be outside and have the wind blowing through my helmet, so to speak. And so both of them are two great vehicles, and they've got their own uses for them for sure.
All right. Well, that's going to get to my last question about your experience here and what your plans are here. So clearly you are a ultra racing kind of guy. So the next time you get to race, is it going to be on a cruise bike or is it going to be in the Velomobile? What do you think?
Well, it'll probably be on the cruise bike. I do plan on maybe attempting like a 24-hour record on the Vendetta. One of my goals I've had for the last several years is to break the 500-mile mark on a two-wheel recumbent. And I'll be 65 this year. So actually I'd probably set the world record for the oldest guy to go over 500 miles in 24 hours if I could do it. Probably wouldn't be much of a challenge on the Velomobile, but I'll probably try to do some record attempts in the Velomobile as well. Probably the biggest issue I have with really doing record attempts and maybe even finishing well in the Velo is I'm just kind of a small guy. I'm 5'6", I weigh 140 pounds. I'm not awesomely strong by any stretch. I'm kind of strong for my size and my weight, and that's really what makes me really fast on the cruise bikes because I just fit into it like a little jet fighter. But if you put my body in a Velomobile and then you put a guy that outweighs me by 100 pounds and can put out so many more watts, we all have the same aerodynamic advantage. And so this larger, stronger person will be able to ride the Velo so much faster than me. So that's probably the downside of being maybe a small guy in the Velo is that you don't have maybe the advantage of having all the power that the larger people do.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense. All right. Now let's step away from your experiences with the bikes and the Velomobile and talk about your venture. So we saw you at CycleCon last year, and you had a booth where you represented Cruzbike, and you are now a dealer and selling Cruzbike. And you, of course, now have added Velomobile World Velomobiles to this. Well, let's go back to the beginning of the dealership first, Larry. Tell me why you got into sales. Why did you become a bike shop?
Well, it kind of just happened maybe by accident. I suppose as everybody knows me, I've just been associated with Cruzbike for maybe 10 years and riding and racing and setting records on cruise bikes, and really good friends with Jim and Maria Parker, who we'll see at some other point in the show. But I started actually working on a project, and Maria asked me to continue writing this document of the history of Cruzbike. And so I started going and asking people to send me pictures and of all the different versions of Cruzbikes, since the inception. And I started putting together this whole thing, and I kind of thought, well, heck, it'd be so much nicer if I just could collect the bikes instead of having a document that showed them. And so maybe about 3 years ago, I kind of just slowly started looking around for older used cruise bikes and started buying them. And some people even just, said, look, if you'll pay for shipping, I'll just send you my old one because I got a new one, and I'd like for it to be in the museum. And so I slowly started collecting them. I ended up with about 30 bikes, and they were like all over the house. And my wife was not very happy with that. And so I decided, well, I'm just going to go ahead and build an addition on the house. And so maybe about a year ago, I started building this 1,000 square foot addition over the top of the garage and over the top of the other parts of the house, with the idea of basically putting all the bikes up there. And I actually stopped riding for probably 6 or 7 months during that time. And I just worked on building the actual, and I built most of it myself. Actually, I couldn't actually afford to pay somebody what they wanted here in Hilton Head to build it. So I didn't work a real job or anything. I just worked on building the building. I got it done maybe last June and showed it to Jim and Maria, and they're like, wow, this is really cool. Do you want to be a dealer for us now? So that's kind of how the dealership came about. Just, I wasn't even doing it to get to that place, but it seemed kind of like the next logical progression. And so when I said yes, 4 days later, 4 big boxes showed up on my porch from them. They sent me a new bike of each of their 4 models. And so I put them together, and I kind of created a website to hold everything and highlight, the new ones like a showroom. And then I'm pretty much a bike shop now. So I do maintenance and repair on mostly cruise bikes, but I've actually done other things from local people bring me other bikes, e-bikes and things to work on. But that's kind of how, the whole space came about, how I became to be, an actual dealer for cruise bikes.
Awesome. All right. And now let's move into the Velomobile aspect of this, which we saw your trip to Romania and Velomobile World. And so now you have a collaboration with Jan at Velomobile World. Tell us about that. What are you stocking, and what do you plan to stock? And tell us about that part of it.
Well, right now I have one of the Bülks, which is really the newest model. And I don't really know if I have plans to really stock anymore. I might, if I come across a Milan or something else, I might get it. But the Bülks are very popular. They're the newest. They're been kind of redesigned using all the parts of a lot of the other ones, the Alphas and the Milans and such. And so I think if I do anything, Jan might just want to send me, a half a dozen or a dozen Velos, Bülks, kind of to just have stocked in my garage. If somebody comes and just wants to buy one, then I can just, say, oh, you don't have to wait a couple months. Here's one right here you can buy. And so that's probably the direction that we might go of having kind of an inventory set where we can ship them over on a container and have the shipping part be less expensive than what it is now, because just flying one over, separately costs a couple $1,000s.
Larry, are you in touch with Ben Park, the gentleman who's doing something similar in Minnesota? We've talked to Ben before.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Ben and I know each other. He's basically the other U.S. dealer right now. And, what I am to Cruzbike, he's kind of to velos. He's, basically he's the velo whisperer for the most part, but he is kind of the northern contingent and sells lots and lots of velos up in the Midwest. And that's another amazing thing about velos, is you can ride them when it's cold. And so they're very, very popular for just real vehicles that you can ride around, in the winter months up there, as long as the snow's not too deep. And so they're popular there. They're popular in Florida. And so I'm kind of the East Coast, South US East dealer. And he's kind of the Midwest dealer at this point.
All right. So, Larry, if I'm interested in buying a velomobile, but I don't really know any more than just having watched you talk about it and showing them being built, but they're intriguing, but I've never ridden one. What do I do? How can you help me?
Well, if you come to my place, you can pretty much ride it. It's fully adjustable. I've had a couple people here already since I've had it for about a month. You come here and I set the velo up exactly to your dimensions so it fits you and you can ride it nice. I show you all the options, and then I stick you out on the road and tell you not to get arrested by our security force for right now. But do have a couple other funny stories about that. But I've had 2 other people come so far. Both of them actually flew to Hilton Head to see me. One guy flew his own private jet here and rode the Velomobile and just loved it, and got an order for 2 to come for him. And actually yesterday, another guy that owns a flight instructor school in Jacksonville, he flew up. He actually test rode 2 Cruzbikes and the Velomobile. And so hopefully I'll get a couple more satisfied customers out of that interaction.
Well, Larry, it seems to be your next building project should be put a landing strip on your property and save these people the problem of having to land at an airport, and they could just land right there and start test riding. Yep. And they could test ride the Velomobiles on the landing strip. There
Right.
you go. No charge.
Maybe a helipad or something on the top.
Very good. Very good. All right. And then you talked about repair and maintenance that you're already doing for the Cruzbikes. So that really just translates right over to Velomobiles. Do you find, or do you think there will be much of a difference in terms of maintenance and repair for Velomobiles versus a bike?
Not really. I mean, all the standard components, that kind of wear out are very similar as far as the transmissions and stuff. There's probably more pieces to the Velomobile than a regular bike because it has steering and suspension. But and that's one of the reasons I wanted to go to Romania, to see how everything fits together, so I can do minor repairs. I'm not really set up to do any kind of carbon fiber work, so if something gets damaged in that area, you'd probably just have to find yourself a local carbon fiber repair guy to hopefully patch it up. But anything mechanical, I'm certainly able to work on.
Next, we're going to go into something that you've been involved with for many years, been successful at as well. And it's an exciting world it is the exciting world of ultra racing on recumbent. So if we can, maybe we can start with a brief history of your racing and then give us an update on how you did and what you did this past year in 2023.
Okay. Well, just as a brief beginning, I got my first cruise bike. It'll be 10 years ago in June. And I just moved from riding an upright bike to a cruise bike just because I couldn't ride an upright bike much more than an hour before I had just too many pains in lots of places that I won't talk about. But I never did any ultra racing really up until that point. But when I got the cruise bike, it was just so fun. I normally had like a 10-mile ride to work, and like before I knew it, I was just riding 40 miles to work because I just loved riding it so much. And so I just kept riding it and riding it. It was so comfortable, and I built up some pretty good endurance. And I remember Maria was like, well, we've got this race in Mid-Atlantic, 12-hour race happening in August. Why don't you come to it and see if you like it? And so that was my first foray into ultra cycling, was riding my Silvio. I think it was 237 miles in 12 hours at that first event that was probably 2014 in August. And ever since then, I've just really loved doing the ultra races. My next one was Sebring in 2015, where I did a 24-hour attempt. And it's kind of funny. I mean, that's probably the strongest I was. I mean, because I'm 10 years older now. And I just didn't know how to really go fast. I had a lot of power, but I didn't have, I hadn't honed all my aerodynamics and honed the bike to be as fast as I am now. But I think I did 437 miles on that 30-degree day and nighttime temperature there at that first Sebring. So that's kind of my beginning into it. I mean, every year I've done different things. As I mentioned, when I was building the Cruzbike Museum last year, I didn't ride for maybe 6 or 7 months. I decided to ride in the World Ultra Cycling 12-hour North American Championship in October. And so I had about 8 weeks to kind of get ready for that. But that worked out really well for me. I ended up really winning the overall, the 12 hours, I think with 258 miles or something, and beat the closest competitor by over 10 miles. So that was really a pleasant surprise for somebody that hadn't, really been riding all year. And it just goes to show you that it doesn't take really a whole lot of time. You just have to put in the effort and the riding to build up your endurance.
Yeah. Now, so you mentioned the break that you took while you were building the extra square footage for the museum and dealership and such. So you took a break, and you mentioned Sebring. Now, Sebring, the race for ultra racing, had taken a break as well. We were there, 2018, perhaps 2019, and we covered the races which are fantastic. But since then, it kind of stopped. And so you have a new connection to Sebring, and you're going to tell us about its resurrection here. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of HPV racing at Sebring, and then bring us up to date about what's going on this year?
Sure. Well, the Sebring Rotary Club has been holding the bike Sebring races for, I think over 20 years. And in 2022 was their last year. They were having increased trouble getting the use of their Sebring racetrack because normally everybody knows how it works, but you can't ride on the track during the day because all the race cars are racing on it. And so the official race, you get to race on it like at 6:30 in the morning for half an hour until it gets light, and then you go out on the road and ride around the road. And then when it gets dark again and all the race cars are off the track, then you filter back into the racetrack if you're riding the 24 hours, and then you just ride on the track all night long. But the track has seen more and more use, and so, I mean, there was one time several years ago where they couldn't use the track, and they just had us going up and down this side road that was not very fun all night long, and had to do all these U-turns and lots of turns around in the parking lots. And so I think the Rotary Club kind of just threw their hands up and they said, we're just too tired for this, and we don't really want to try to find another route. And so they canceled it for 2023. I actually talked to them back then and was trying to encourage them to do something different, but they were pretty resolute in the fact that they were just didn't have any new blood to come in to help, and I think everybody was just worn out, and having to deal with kind of starting something new just wasn't very appealing to them. So I guess really just about the time that I kind of started getting involved in the velomobiles more and got the Cruzeum up and running, I had this harebrained idea that I really wanted to start Sebring up again. So I contacted the Rotary Club and I said, I'd really like to do the thing again. Would you be willing to give me the rights to the name and to the logo, to the web page, and I'll try to run the event. And they're like, yeah, it took them like 10 seconds. They're like, yeah, sure, you can have it all. And so I went down to Sebring sometime, gosh, I can't remember when it was, maybe after I got back from Romania in December, and scouted out some new courses, managed to find a little subdivision that's just off the backside of Sebring racetrack that has a beautiful 3.7-mile loop that we're going to use for the nighttime loop. I'm going to utilize some of the same roads for the daytime loops, except we're not going to have the one big long 100-mile where you ride up to the lake and back. But I'm going to offer the same events, 100-mile, 6-hour, 12-hour, and 24-hour events there. And some of the same people that kind of helped and volunteered will probably still be there as well to help out. So that's kind of my first foray into being, an event director, I suppose. I guess that's what happens when you stop riding. Maybe you do those instead. But I'm kind of
you stop playing football, you become a coach, and this is a similar kind of thing. Larry, tell us, if you can, more specifics about the Sebring race. Can you tell us, this is Sebring, Florida, first of all, and tell us the dates.
Okay. Yeah, so it's Sebring, Florida. It's about 60 miles south of Orlando. It's got, it's famous for having the Sebring racetrack in it for the most part, but the event this year is going to be March 23rd and 24th. It'll start at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure Gary's probably got it put up like the web page or whatever, but we still got the www.bikesebring.org website. I've got registration on Bike Reg you can through that website as well. So there's, hopefully we'll have great attendance. I think the last year they held it, there was 160 people there, and we're hoping to have just as many people this year. We're a RAM qualifier as we were before. So, if people can ride 400 miles in the 24-hour race, then they qualify to go kill themselves riding across America the next year. So other than that, I'm just looking forward to, resurrecting the race. I rode in it every possible year from the time I started, and it's kind of a great beginning to the year. And having it in Florida where even in March, it can be pretty cold up north. So, but Florida's the place to go to ride in the spring for sure.
Absolutely true. All right. So that's going to be a great beginning to the ultra racing season. But it's only a beginning, and that's not enough for you, Larry. Nothing seems to be enough for you. So now you decide to bring Sebring back, which is awesome. And then, interestingly, I happen to have seen a post by my buddy Larry Graham on Facebook here as we record this, the middle of January, saying something about Calvin's Challenge here in Ohio, a very famous race that had been going on for many years. Larry had owned the race and run it for a few years, then subsequently sold it. And he posted that it was being sold again and coming back. So that intrigued me, and I thought maybe you'd know something about it. And apparently you know a lot about it. Larry, tell me.
Yeah, I know a lot about it. I actually talked with Larry several months ago, and I just, the odd thing is that a lot of races have seemed to kind of been canceled over the years. I don't know if people just kind of, they get weary overdoing it over decades and decades, and maybe not getting as much help as they want. And I think Larry was in that same boat that the Sebring Rotary Club was. He'd done it for so many years, and I think he just needed a break. I mean, it was sold to somebody else. They ran it for 1 year. I don't know. I didn't go to it at that point. I rode it in 2015 and 2016, the last 2 years that Larry had it. And but I just love that race, and I know a lot of people would love to have it back. I hadn't mentioned this before, but I'm associated with the with the World Ultra Cycling Association. I'm a board member with them, and as an association, we help collaborate all the event directors and get all the different events on the calendar for all the ultra cyclists all over the world. And there's a pretty big hole in events really on the East Coast now because, other than, Sebring was canceled, the National 24-Hour Challenge was canceled, the Maryland Challenge was canceled, and Calvin's was canceled. So we got 4 events there that, people used to go to. And so I'm kind of got this bee in my bonnet to try to maybe resurrect, all of them if I can. So I do have talks going on to try to purchase the rights to Calvin's again. I've talked with the school that we originally, the Shawnee High School, that was the base for the ride when Larry was doing it. And I mean, Larry has graciously offered to help me get it going. And I mean, I know I'll do most of the work, but I don't mind. I'm excited to try to probably put this on sometime in May. I don't know an exact date right now because I'm waiting for the school board to approve a date for me, but it will be sometime in May, hopefully on May 3rd. And hopefully we'll use the same exact course. It'll just be super familiar to everybody. It'll be primarily a 12-hour race, but we'll also have an option for a 100-mile time trial and a 6-hour race that everybody was familiar with then. And, I think if Calvin's and Sebring are not the death of me this year, then I'll probably look towards trying to resurrect something similar to the National 24-Hour Challenge and also the Maryland Endurance Challenge. And then finally, I would really like to create something to kind of rival the Ram version of, their World Time Trial Championships they have in Borrego Springs every year. I'd like to create something like that on the East Coast. I'm looking at a couple test tracks that would just be wonderful to do that. And so my ultimate goal is to have something late in the season that's a time trial championship for people here on the East Coast as well.
Amazing. I don't know what to say, Larry. You've got plenty on your plate there. So that sounds great. I think the ultra cycling world is happy to have you there, just kind of prodding it along and hopefully bringing it back into prominence. So that is awesome. All right, Larry. So let's head to the finish line here with maybe a look into the future. Anything else left unsaid here that you want to talk about that you've been thinking about?
If anybody knows me, they know that I'm just an insane tester of things. I've tested cruise bikes, all different things, mostly riding around in circles and in velodromes and such to test, power meters and wheels and to really try to make the bike as fast as it can be for me. And I've always really wanted to build a wind tunnel. And so, I mean, once I don't know if I can get all these other things kind of working and maybe in my spare time, I can build a wind tunnel. I've got plans. I was initially thinking I might even could put it here in the space I built, but I've already filled that thing up with like 40 bikes. And I don't think my subdivision would really let me have a wind tunnel here. So that's a bigger project for another year, but I do have plans on the table, stuff drawn up. And if I can get the time and energy to do it, that'll be the next big thing. And I mean, that'll be a real business that anybody can just come to Hilton Head and go visit the wind tunnel with whatever kind of bike they got. And so that's the future dream.
All right. Sounds intriguing, Larry. So thank you so much for spending the time to work with me for this segment on the Laid Back Report, Larry. Always interesting to talk to you. You're up to so many things, and I'm sure we will be back with you again with whatever you come up with next. Maybe we'll do an interview in the wind tunnel while it's blowing. I don't know how we'll work that out, but Larry Oslund, thank you very much, pal.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right. And there's the wind tunnel whisperer right now, Larry Oslund. Thanks for joining us live today.
You're welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
All right, pal. Let's get into some questions and comments. Let me ask mine first of all, and then we'll see what we've got from the chat. These questions are about either velomobiles and Larry's association with Velomobile World and his velomobile, or about ultra racing, which is the segments we just watched before we go on to the final ones about Cruzbike. So you talked about the police or security stops, and you were hoping that would get resolved. Any updates since the last 3 weeks since we talked?
No, there has not.
So Larry was fine the whole time we
Yeah.
recorded. That now he's kind of gone.
I'm going out of country. Am I here now?
All right, try it again, Larry. Can you? Yeah, now I hear you at least. Go ahead.
Hello.
All right.
No?
Well, that doesn't seem to be working.
Spinning on me now, so
Yeah, I think you're back. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, no change with that. I guess they haven't got together and had their little meeting yet. So just still on hold. I've driven down the road a couple times. I got my van back, so I have taken it out on a couple.
All right, Larry, we're having a little trouble. I think maybe what we might want to do. Yeah, let's. Larry Seidman, let's just go ahead. I think let's go ahead and play the rest of the interview with Larry and the Parkers, and then we'll see if we can get Larry back live to answer all the questions here at the end. We have just a few more minutes of these interviews, so let's go to the Cruzbike Museum segment, and let's start there. Thanks, Larry.
Here at the Cruzbike Museum, this is actually the original conversion kit that Jim Parker built. Doesn't have a chain on it right now because I'm washing and waxing it, but this is basically an original mongoose bike frame. Jim bought the Cruzbike conversion kit back then made by John Tholhurst, which was really the seat post and the two front pieces over here. He bought this, built it, loved it, and bought one for Maria. And then he called John Tholhurst and he said, hey, let's build some real bikes. Another one of my favorite bikes at the Cruzeum is this prototype called the Magic. Jim Parker, John Morsiglio, the actual maker, and myself, we collaborated to build kind of an ultra low racing. This has actually got the trike adapter on it, which I commissioned myself, John Morsiglio, to build. Hanging up here is just a version of just the Magic bike itself without the rear trike. Just stepping around this bike, it's got electronic shifting. It's very aerodynamic, as you can see. Disc brakes. The other nice option of this bike is that it's tilting. So the bike itself tilts as you go around corners, which is very nice. The race case on the back I actually designed and built myself, which I can carry 4 liters of drink, which enables me to actually ride 6 hours nonstop. And this is the V20C prototype that the Jim and Maria graciously donated to the museum. I pretty much outfitted it, and it's my go-to bike for most of my ultra events. I've got the race case on it, deep dish wheels, electronic shifting. I've got the curved handlebar there, vented seat pad, 30 millimeter tires, Q rings, fully equipped with disc brakes, power meter pedals, pretty much the whole shebang. Anyway, this is the V20C. Finally, my last favorite bike I wanted to highlight was my original Vendetta. It was before they went to the standard black front triangle, and I had these special wheels built, said Cruzbike Vendetta on them. I raced this for many years until they started coming out with the different colors. The first color after this yellow was the red one, which I did have that one for a time as well, but that's not in the museum, unfortunately, because I did sell it. Just a quick walk around. I know it looks kind of cluttered, but these 4 bikes in the center are the standouts. These are the brand new models that are currently available for Cruzbike. The one to the far right is the V20C, followed by the S40, the Q45, and the T50. So these are all demo models in my showroom. They're also available for sale and fitting directly here at the museum.
All right, Larry, do we have you?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. That sounds good. All right, let's jump right into the questions. First one about velomobiles here from Joseph Hooton. How do you transport a velomobile? What are your thoughts of riding in the summers with heat and humidity? So two good questions there.
Well, I've got a minivan and I roll the velo just right in the back of the van. It's almost a perfect fit. Other people have been able to just roll them up on their front hood and then attach them to the top of their car, whatever kind of car they have. So that's a pretty easy way to transport them. Or I guess you could just get a trailer too. Riding in the summers with heat and humidity. Well, you pretty much don't want to ride with the lid. I know that for sure. That's probably why they're so popular up in the Midwest, is people love to ride them in the fall and the winter, and because you generate so much heat. So I haven't really experienced riding them in the heat, but I know that that is probably the biggest drawback to riding the velos down in the South.
Okay, well, you would know about that. That's for sure. So, all right. And any updates on anything with Velomobile World before we move on to ultra cycling? Is everything you've got? You've got Velomobiles, you've got Bülks to demo, and people can contact you, and that's all good to go. Yes.
Yep. I can pretty much order any velo that they make. They've got a really handy form that for ordering. So usually, if they're not too backed up, it takes about 6 weeks to build it, and maybe a couple more weeks to send it. So, but everything is set up to process any kind of an order for a velo through them.
All right. And Trey and Peter and Larry, if you have any questions, pop your hand up or give me something in the private chat, and we'll pop you up here. All right, let's move on to the ultra racing stuff. My question was, you mentioned, well, of course, Sebring seems like it's pretty much ready to go, at least in terms of getting it set up and planning. We'll see if it's ready to go. I guess I know that's a worry of yours, but how about Calvin's Challenge? It's been a couple, 3 weeks since we chatted about that. Any developments there for the ultra race right here in my backyard in Ohio?
Yep, I'm like 99% sure that it's going to be May 18th. So I've actually purchased the rights to the race. I'm building out the bike reg thing today. I'm hoping to get it actually posted tomorrow. I had confirmation from the athletic director of using the facility. And so just a couple other things to kind of work out. It might even end up being a round qualifier as well. I know it was a really kind of a famous 12-hour race. And so kind of considering even having a little different route for round qualifier and keeping the original 50-mile route for all the 12-hour fans. So, but it's definitely going to happen.
All right. And there's our buddy Nick White. Hi, Nick. Glad you're watching. We'll see you in a week or so down in Florida. Nick wants to know concerning the Sebring event, will there be a spectator area? So he's not been there before to watch one of the races I have. Could you just describe what it's like for spectators? How can they watch it if they come to Sebring?
Well, we don't really have anything like any kind of a grandstand or anything. Really, a spectator would probably just kind of mingle in with the people that are the crews for the riders that they come to be. There's a 3.7-mile loop that passes by what is called the Echo Park in the Spring Lake subdivision. There's parking there. There's tables there. So, I don't think we're set up. We're not set up for hundreds and hundreds of people to spectate, but there's never really been that much. But if you're kind of interested, just come down to where you see a start and finish line, and you'll probably see me and tell me you'd like to hang out, and I'll probably give you a chair and ask you to do something.
Yeah, you have to be careful about asking too soon. But I can tell you, Trey and I were there at the Sebring. It's a great event. And all these kinds of ultra races, it's not as formal as like a car race or something. Everybody's really happy to talk to you. And yeah, you intermingle with the people that are watching and the people that are riding and people that are crewing. And it's really up close and personal and a lot of fun. So wherever you can watch ultra racing, HPV racing at all, it's a lot of fun. I recommend it. All right. And let's see. TR Play says, Race of the South was a good race. Do you know about that one, Larry?
I've vaguely heard of it. Where is that, Hardy? Was that in Texas?
Yeah. So we don't know, but if you pop it on the screen, if you respond to that, we'll take a look at that.
If it's been canceled, I'll look into it.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what you do here.
That's what I do. That's right.
Yeah. And Joseph Hooten also, Texas time trials. Any chance it will come back?
Yeah, I can look into that as well. I've ridden in that. I know the guy that ran it. I heard it was kind of on again, off again, different years. So I'm not really sure what the thing is. But again, if I'm kind of successful in getting these other ones going, I'd love to try to get anything back that was kind of popular and a sport favorite for riders.
And he says Georgia stopped in the 2005s. Northeast Georgia. That must have been a race. Not sure about that. And yeah, good. Nick says he's going to come down maybe and have a look. So we're good to see.
Sounds good.
All right. So that is that. And I think that's my questions. And if panelists, I don't see that you have any right now. So Larry, let's go on. And the next segment, it's our last, and it's actually our interview with Jim and Maria Parker, who showed up in the Cruzbike Museum with us, Larry, when we were doing the interview. I think folks will find this really interesting. So Larry, yes, let's have it. All right, guys. So now you've seen Larry show us around a little bit and give us some of the highlights of the Cruzeum. And now we're with Larry in the Cruzeum with a couple of very special guests, Jim and Maria Parker. It's so nice to see you guys again.
Well, it's so nice to be here. Thanks for having us on the show.
Great to be here, Gary.
All right, guys. All right, so let's start with Larry and finish up with the Cruzeum with a few specific questions I have for you. Larry, tell us how many bikes altogether do you have in the Cruzeum?
Well, the last I counted, there was 32 here.
Okay.
Actually, it's 33 now because I did get a new version 1 Vendetta that I'm putting together. So I guess I have 33 now.
Okay. Now, museums generally look for more exhibits. Are you looking for more?
Always interested in something unique. I know there's a few things out there. One is a combination of a Silvio and a Vendetta that's kind of called a Silvetta. It's not an official version, but it's kind of a mildly famous one. And there's some other kind of long base V20s that were made, kind of prototypes. So there's a couple other, miscellaneous cool bikes that I would love to get versions of at some point.
So if someone has one of these and they hear this, just send you an email?
Send me an email or give me a call and you'll be my best friend.
Okay, there are a lot of those, I know. All right, Larry. So the Cruzeum looks fascinating if I want to come and visit, as of any of my viewers want to come and visit. How do they do that?
Pretty much just get a hold of me by email or phone and make an appointment. It's I'm not in a retail space. I built this as a separate 1,000 square foot addition on my house. So I live in a regular neighborhood. It's a gated community. So you'll never be able to find it unless you call me.
So give Larry a call and come and enjoy the museum. So great, Larry, thanks.
I want Larry to talk about the people he's already helped buy cruise bikes. And can you just give an example, like somebody comes to that house and you give them some lessons?
I guess recently I built a custom S40 for Vinny, who's now a good friend of mine. He drove up from Florida. I had the bike already pre-assembled for him. He came and I did a whole fitting for him and took him outside. And he already kind of knew how to ride an S40, so that was the easy part. But people do come here. I build the bikes up specifically for them and fit them and train them in riding them. And it's a great way to be exposed to the cruise bike and make sure that it's really fit for you the best it can be, because that's really that's how you get the best out of your cruise bike, is to make sure that you fit it properly.
Larry, do you get people coming who have never ridden a cruise bike before, and you have to really show them how to ride that sort? It's very different, obviously, than a regular recumbent or certainly an upright. Do you have?
Yeah, I've had
what's
people
what's
that
that
have less
process?
experience. I mean, I had one guy that actually spent 4 days here. I worked with him on and off for 4 days to get him riding his cruise bike. So, you know, you don't need to have prior experience, but you just have to put the time in and follow some simple kind of pattern instructions for practicing certain kinds of turning and balance things.
And importantly, you take the time to do that, obviously, if you spend even a few days with them. So, which is great, because that's what you offer that, you know, maybe many other people can't. So
yeah, I'm pretty much happy to spend however much time somebody needs. So, and it's always a good excuse to come to the beach too.
Right, which is enticing to people up north like me at any time. So, all right, great. Let's move on then to Jim and Maria, guys. Now that you're sitting in the museum, and I know Larry's talked about you working with him on the museum. What do you think? What do you think of what's behind you there?
We're just blown away. It's hard to put into words and articulate how wonderful and flattering it is to have a friend and customer like Larry, but also to have somebody who cares and is as passionate about your product, or even maybe more passionate about your product than you are, you know, enough to go to all the lengths that he's gone to create this really beautiful space. It's incredible.
Yeah, there's bikes here that I never thought I would see again, and it's like seeing old friends. You know, like there's a free rider over there. I never knew I'd see another free rider again. There's a rare cruise bike Sigma hanging on the wall over there, which I never thought I'd see again. The one in the window back there, from 2005, that was the first cruise bike I rode. I think one day I rode 25 miles on that bike, and I blew my mind that I could ride 25 miles because that was a record for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just astonished and happy and thrilled to see all this. And there's a lot of other cool stuff too on the walls, like just little bits of bikes and chain stays and forks and crank sets and posters and cool stuff. So it's really fun to be here and be surrounded by all these artifacts and cycling trophies and medals, all the awards Larry's won. I guess those are all your medals, Larry. Yeah, they're a fantastic collection there. So yeah, we're just thrilled to be here. This is our first time since he's opened it that we've been here. So we came by and saw it while it was under construction, but to be here while it's finished it's just amazing.
And we would encourage anybody who's even just interested in cruise bike to give Larry a visit, because it really is amazing. They could come to Cruise Bike headquarters and they wouldn't get near the sense of what cruise bike is that they can get here. And Larry also has every jersey we've ever made, which, I mean, that just blows my mind. Yeah, so it's obviously it's just incredible for us to have Larry as a friend. And then he's come alongside us and our love for cruise bike and created this beautiful thing.
That's fantastic. Well, you guys have a very extensive cruise bike nation, number of riders all around the country and even beyond the country.
Yes.
And I think they would all be interested in coming as well. So hopefully they'll see this and come and visit. So that would be great. All right, let's move on to something else that Larry is working on that he's talked about previously in this interview, and that's his bringing some of the ultra races back, starting with Sebring. We talked about his acquisition of Sebring and bringing it back to life. So I'd like your thoughts on that, and wondering if you guys will be supporting him with that.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Sure. Sebring's been an important part of our, both of our racing lives. I think we've done Sebring every year.
They've had it for the last dozen years.
When I did Race Across America, I qualified for Race Across America at Sebring at the 24 hours. So it's It's an important time of the year. It's in the spring, early spring, typically. And so we were just heartbroken when we learned that maybe it wasn't going to happen. And of course, delighted that Larry is bringing it back. And yeah, we'll be there this year. I'm really excited because I'm doing a 12-hour team race with another woman, Laura Crawford, who rides a V20C. And so we're doing the 12 hours as a team, which I love team stuff. And I've done so much individual stuff on my cruise bike. I'm looking forward to kind of beginning a new phase in my racing as a team racer. So I'm excited about that. And of course, we hope to help Larry and get, we've encouraged, our customers to come and support the event. But I think it's such a good event. I think it's going to go, Larry's not going to need too much help. He's going to have an amazing Sebring, and the way he's re-engineered it is actually going to be better than it's ever been before. So anybody who's listening to this, I encourage you to come out, not just to support Larry, but because it's a fabulous event and it's a great way to keep yourself training, these kind of hard winter months, to have something to shoot for. What event are you doing? I'm putting Jim on the spot here.
The 6 hour. I'm leaning towards the 6 hour right now. So
did you just decide that when Maria asked you because you had to, Jim, or has this been something that you've been thinking about?
I've been considering either the Century or the 6 hour. I've been working a lot on my doctor job, so I haven't been training as much as it would be required for a 12-hour. But I think I can go out there and do a decent 6 hour, 100-mile event.
Yeah, and Jim has done that every year for the last several years. He's done the 100-mile and performed extremely well. Yeah. Won it a couple of times.
I finally set the recumbent course record in the Century at Sebring.
Yeah,
so
that's a challenge.
Canceled it. So that's a challenge out there. Somebody go out and try to break that course record.
All right, great. So let's bring it back then to Cruzbike itself. Jim and Maria, it has been a while since we've had a chance to chat. So I'm wondering if for our audience, you could bring us up to date on what is new at Cruzbike and what the plans are, and just tell us what's going on.
Sure. We're constantly working on new things. And we, one of the things that has been very important to us is to keep our bikes in stock, even through COVID and to act, the way I describe to myself as a real company that we're, if you want to buy a cruise bike, you can buy any cruise bike that you want. So we've really achieved that. We have currently every bicycle in stock. We're working on a couple of new projects that I can't talk about yet as far as the bicycles go, but we're producing a new. We've struggled with our race case, which went on the Vendetta and now the V20C. We had one made out of carbon fiber, then we could no longer make it out of carbon fiber. Then we had it made out of plastic. It didn't really work that well. So now we've got a new design that we're really excited. It's going to be coming out soon. It's basically a cage. Now it's a metal cage covered in fabric, and I think it's better, lighter than anything we've had before.
And you rode it in Borrego.
And yeah, I used it when I set a record in this past fall in Borrego Springs. So yeah, it's a great new product. We're also producing. It may be the best product. It's a rolling bicycle stand, and we used to buy them. And then the company that made them went out of business. But basically, you put the front wheel of the cruise bike in a stand, and you can roll it around like your garage. It holds the bike upright, but you can also roll it around. And anybody who owns a cruise bike knows that one of the challenges with the cruise bike is the heavy front end, and just moving it around. People, it's just a little bit awkward. But this stand is amazing. So it went out of production. We couldn't get them anymore. So we found a company that will produce them for us. So we've got this rolling bicycle stand, and it's not intuitive, but this is like a terrific product. And if you have to keep your bike in your garage, which most people do, and you want to move it around more easily, you don't have to worry about leaning it up, against something, because it stands really nicely and it moves around really nicely.
That's the Stoppy.
That's the Stoppy stand.
And that's on our website.
It's on our website. And then the third kind of newish product for us is we're producing new panniers. We had bought panniers that are waterproof and sold them for people who like to who commute or are going to be out in some really heavy weather, but they're big and a little bit heavier. So we thought, a lot of people, they just want to carry, like when I'm riding my bike around, I'm usually wanting to go to the store. I don't need this big, heavy waterproof pannier. So we produced some lighter, slightly smaller panniers that are on our website now that we really like for carrying stuff around. So those are kind of 3 newish products. Then we've got some other new things coming, but can't talk about.
But you can't talk about.
Right.
Well, so if the problem is if we mention that there might be a new bike out there, then people stop buying the current models.
And it takes years and years to bring these to
yeah. And so we don't know if these bikes that we're prototyping and designing will ever actually go into production. We really don't. So
that's fair enough. Of course,
the bikes that we have are very nice. They're tweaked. They're race proven. They've been tested. They're great. So we'd like people to get the bikes that we've got, and if these kind of dream bikes we're working on ever come to fruition, then we'll
let you know.
We'll let you know.
But we've also worked on little things like derailleur hangers. We're always working on the bikes, trying to make them better, trying to make them easier for people to ride and to manage. And
our customers come up with improvements too. And,
all the time.
And we love to incorporate those. If it's a good idea, we like it, we'd try to incorporate those into the bikes.
What about the e-assisted cruise bike that you had? Is that going well for you? I mean, that's kind of a different look for you guys. But how's that working?
It might have been my favorite cruise bike, the T50E. I loved it. It's front wheel drive, and then the rear wheel was powered with a battery, and it was great. And we made a bunch of them, and they didn't sell. It was really strange, but they didn't sell, and so we discontinued them.
I think because just the base bike is more expensive. I mean, you can go buy a cheap e-bike, $750 maybe for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we can't compete with that. But the bike, the T50E, was a wonderful bike to ride.
We still have some that we're never going to let go of.
Yeah,
sorry, Larry.
they're not for sale.
Not even one. Not even one for the museum.
There's one in the museum. Larry got
one. Okay, we got that. All right, good enough. So
yeah, it's a great idea, but the time I think we came in a little too early on it. And the other problem or issue with electric is, and all electric bikes are having this challenge. There's more things to go wrong, and it's not just bike mechanics. Now we're talking about electronics and stuff. So you have
battery maintenance is sort of a pain in the neck, because you don't charge the batteries right, they don't last very long. The other thing is, so if people are interested in an electric cruise bike, we have kept the T50. We still have the T50s. We still make the T50s, and that does not have the true axle, because we've gone with the bicycle industry and moved to through axles on all the models except the T50. And you can't electrify with through axles, what I've been told. So if someone wants to make an electric cruise bike, which I think is a great idea, use the T50 and take it to a shop that converts them, and that would be and it's built with a really strong frame. So that would be the model to electrify if someone's interested in that.
Yeah, we made the dropout super strong on that for people who are interested in electrifying it, and we do actually have a relationship with a guy. Go Car Light, who works with T50s to electrify them, and people can find out about that on the website.
I think he's based out of San Francisco.
He's based out of San Francisco, but he'll help people.
Sounds good. But the emphasis is always with cruise bike, not only comfort but performance, and I think that has something to do with it as well. You guys excel at that. And all right, any final words, Jim and Maria, before we say goodbye?
No, I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you and appreciate the recumbent community out there. We were just talking this morning at breakfast about this is our family, and we're so fortunate to be in this community and be supported by people like you and other, not just our customers who are fabulous, but also, other recumbent riders. We're grateful to be part of this community.
And we're grateful to have you. And I'm grateful to have you on the show again. So great to see you. And we look forward to seeing what's coming up next with Cruzbike when you can talk about it. And what next? Maybe Sebring. If you guys are at Sebring, you can
we'll
catch
be
Cruzbike there.
We'll be at Sebring. We're also going to be at the Florida Bicycle Safari, which we don't put that on. That's put on by a bicycle club in Live Oak, Florida. But we went there last year. We had a great time. They're open for, I think you can go for 2 days, 3 days, 6 days. And we'll be there for the whole 6 days of the whole thing. But there's group rides all over the place, any distance you want.
And it's flat.
Food is supplied is flat. It's Florida, and it's coming up in April.
Yeah.
So if you want to escape the cold north, you can come down to Live Oak.
Yeah.
Just go to our website or just Google Florida Bicycle Safari and sign up. And
we'd love to see a lot of recumbents out there. We're going to be there. We're going to have lots of cruise bikers there. And last year we hung out with all the recumbents. So come on out and ride with us in Florida. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right, then. So thank you, Jim and Maria Parker. We appreciate you coming on. And Larry Oslund, thanks, pal. We will see you guys again soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.
All right, Larry, it was really nice having Jim and Maria there. You know, I assume you're coming back to CycleCon to represent Cruzbike again this year, are you?
Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Okay. Well, you need to talk to them about making a cameo appearance or something. It was always nice to be able to talk with them for quite a few years at CycleCon, and their presence make a difference. They're a big part of recumbent biking and have been for so many years. So that was great. All right, I think that's going to bring us pretty much to the end. Larry, did you have any other updates about the Cruzbike Museum or Cruzbikes themselves? Anything you want to finish up with?
No, I think we've said almost everything we can say. We've covered the new events, the Sebring happening, Calvin's Challenge. I just invite anybody that wants to come down here to see the museum. It's free to anybody that can get here. So come on down and let me know, and I'll be happy to talk cruise bikes with you.
All right. Sounds great. We had a couple of comments about people wanting to come and see you in Hilton Head there. So yeah, get a hold of him and check out the museum. So Larry, really fun working with you on these segments. Look forward to seeing you at CycleCon for sure, if not before. So you take care of yourself. Good luck.
That's always a pleasure, Gary. Thanks.
All right. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys, let's finish up here with viewer submissions. So this week, good friend of the show and a pal of mine, Dennis Wells, made this. Well, you can see there we go. That's a little bit better. Let me move it back. You can see it's the state of Ohio, which is where the Laid Back Bike Report's headquarters is. This is a wooden plaque that my pal Dennis Wells made for me and sent. Really nice work there. Dennis, sure appreciate that. That's going to take pride of place right here on the wall in my studios. So there's Dennis with his villager cat trike, a rider. He's a veteran, a great guy. Dennis, really appreciate that. That's wonderful. So, and guys, if you have anything to share, it doesn't have to be a wooden plaque. Pictures, stories of your accomplishments, your rides, your travels. Let us know. We'll put them on in our viewer submissions segment. You can email us at laidbackbikereport@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can get you on the show there. All right, let's talk about the sponsors of the Laid Back Bike Report. The wonderful sponsors start out with TerraCycle. Are you tired of feeling like your bent was made for someone else? TerraCycle's handbars and stems allow you to customize your ride so you can feel like the superstar you are, even if you ride like a turtle. And Trailside Trikes. If you find yourself in Florida near the Withlacoochee Trail, check out Andrew's shop and his amazing crew. And TerraTrike and Greenspeed Trikes. Your vision, whatever it is, TerraTrike has a trike to take you there. And Greenspeed cutting-edge designs create performance through Aussie ingenuity. And Laid Back Cycles, the top USA dealer for TerraTrike and the premier source for Catrike, Ice, and Green Speed. We give you the freedom to ride. And Avenue Trikes. With the gearing you need and the comfort you want, it's time to enjoy riding again. They're in stock, ready to ship in only $19.95. Dealer inquiries are welcome. And Azub. If you've decided to get that new recumbent bike or trike, the time is now. You don't have to wait weeks for a quality bike that's customized to your needs. Azub has a selection of its best-selling models and configurations in stock. Head over to azub.eu and simply choose the model you want, add your preferred accessories, and your bike or trike will be at your dealer in just a few days. And Recumbent PDX, Catrike's West Coast Megastore. Schedule your test ride on trikes with pedal assist, electric from both Bosch and Bafang, roll-off and Schlump component groups, and adaptive builds. Experience the joy of Catrike. And Connecticut Yankee Peddler. We feature multiple brands of trikes, including electric assist models. Test rides and Southern Iowa hospitality are always available at our Megastore in Chariton. All right, so as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Trey and I are headed to Florida next week. We're going to be, February 17th. That's Saturday. We're going to be in Orlando at the Catrike Factory event. So we look forward to seeing Mark Eglin and his crew at the Catrike Factory. Maybe get a little ride in. There's a nice new trail behind the factory. They're giving factory tours, and Trey and I have done that. It's an amazing place. So if you're anywhere in the area and you can get down there, and it doesn't have to be a Catrike, Mark tells us, head on over there to the Catrike Factory on February 17th. And then on Sunday the 18th is the start of the big honkin' trike barbecue event. So they're going to have a barbecue on Sunday, and then they will have, if history is any gauge, over 100 trikes there on the Withlacoochee Trail. And folks will be riding Sunday and I guess for the next few days as well. So come and meet all your buddies, your other trike riders. It doesn't even have to be a trike. Other recumbents are welcome as well. I got word today there's going to be a couple of tie glide recumbents there. And I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other things to see. So that starts on Sunday, February 18th. We look forward to meeting all of you there and chatting. So, so we'll be taking lots of video and put together some segments about our experience there. If we happen upon other bike shops or manufacturers while we're in Florida, we will cover those and bring that to you next month. The show is scheduled for March 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, as always. And we look forward to sharing all that stuff with you then. Now, how can you support the Laid Back Bike Report? You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. You can click that thumbs up, of course. That's always nice to have. And you can go to our website, which you can find right on that little white eye there. And there you can find lots of more information on the Laid Back Bike Report, including how to become a Patreon member like these folks right here. We love you guys. Thanks so much for supporting us. You can do so for as little as $1 a month. So that is always welcomed. All right, let's see. Let's bring everybody up here. Guys, thanks a lot. It was great having you with us today, and thanks for your work on the show. And Larry, thanks for being so flexible, because we had to move some stuff around there, didn't we? So good job, guys. So I appreciate your help. And folks, thank you all for watching as you do every month and supporting us. So until our next webcast, from all of us here at the Laid Back Bike Report, so long, bent riders.